Hello, my name is Sibulele Makeleni and I'm from Cape Town TV. Today we're here at the Cape Town High Court where we're attending the Muslim marriages legal case. With me I have Siham Samai.
The Women Legal Centre is a law centre which advances the rights of women, and the Women Legal Centre is the applicant in this case, and we are bringing this Muslim marriages case in the public interest on behalf of Muslim women in South Africa. This particular case was initiated in 2014. And there has been numerous postponements, and also different cases were joined with this particular matter. The case was postponed in March to this particular date, and it's been set down for 2 weeks for all the parties for argument. We are requesting the court to give similar rights to Muslim women in marriage, like civil marriages as well as customary marriages.
I'm here today to support the Women's Legal Centre's application for the recognition of Muslim marriages, actually religious marriages, under the current legislation of South African law. We don't have recourse to any. If we have an issue, we've got to come to court. So there's no legal framework that protects Muslim women, and as a result, each case that needs to be heard on its own merit. So there isn't one law, It's a costly experience, because we can't just come and say these are our rights. So we've got to come to court, and we've got to judges to listen to our argument. We are left in a very vulnerable position as Muslim women, because men are historically in a stronger financial position than women. So they have the resources to fight the cases. We, if our marriage ends in divorce, we've got to go out and find jobs and start all over again. We're left with nothing. Our only way forward is to come to court to fight the case, and not many women can afford it.
Religious marriages in South Africa is still not recognized, and that's why Muslim marriages, Hindu marriages is all also not recognized. If the court give a positive ruling, what we ask, the Women Legal Centre is asking the court to ensure that Muslim marriages are afforded the same protections as well as consequences of civil marriages, as well as marriages in terms of recognition of Customary Marriages Act.
Some of the other issues that Muslim women face, other than the maintenance, is their right to inherit. Because we are not considered spouses, so we don't have automatic rights in the case of inheritance. We don't have automatic rights in the case of if our husbands die and there's property and there's multiple wives. So those are some of the other issues that women face, and that needs to be covered under this application. Okay, the recent case judgment in India regarding the triple talaq. According to Islam, a man has the right to divorce his wife just by uttering the words "I divorce you" or talaq. He can do it thrice. So if he says talaq, talaq, talaq thrice, automatically the marriage is dissolved. So what happens? Sometimes the men abuse this right, and in a fit of anger, they utter those words, and then there's no protection for the woman, because then she's suddenly just a divorced woman. And in India in particular, the life is very difficult, very different to South Africa. So even here, when we have the women being given a triple talaq, we don't have any leg to stand on. The women have rights. Islam gives the women lots of rights, but because our marriages aren't governed by any legal framework, there's no way of enforcing those rights. So that's why it's very, very important for our Muslim marriages and all religious marriages to be recognized under South African law. We are, at the end of the day, South African citizens, and our constitution guarantees protection against discrimination. And our marriages not being recognized under the current legislation is discriminatory against Muslim women, and it leaves us and our children in a very vulnerable situation. We are very much disadvantaged, and that's the reason why this application has got to be successful. The communities, the people out there, you've got to come and support the Women's Legal Centre. You've got to support this application, because it's not a religious issue. This is a constitutional, a human rights, and a socio-economic issue. Women and children are terribly disadvantaged by not being covered under the South African law. the law of the triple talaq being unconstitutional, that is specific to India, but there are other, Pakistan is also another country that has deemed it unconstitutional and illegal. So we're hoping, but because our Muslim marriages are not recognized here, it doesn't affect us.
Good morning, this is Raya Sali. I'm the founder member of the Bountiful Walking Ladies. I think it is important for the Muslim marriages right to be recognized by government. We know that the Quran is giving us all our rights, and the Quran also says to our men, yes, you can marry 1, 2, 3 and up to 4 wives, but if you fear the Almighty, then stick to one. And I believe there's so much injustice is done to our women, and for me it is actually sad that our non-Muslim government should implement this law that the Quran is already put there for our Muslim men, and that they don't adhere to that, the non-Muslim government should govern them to adhere to that particular law. So, and I feel that we live in a democratic South Africa, which is not a Muslim country, and we need to actually recognize the Muslim marriages and all other cultural marriages. I would think so. And we are not saying the government should change what the Quran is saying. The Quran is already, the law is already there in the Quran. I think this will just be a guide to actually govern our men to carry out the law that is commanded upon them. Because I think our men at the moment is taking advantage of our non-Muslim country, that they can run away from the commanded rights from God. And so I think that would be very, very positive for us as women.
The question that was asked about legislation in regard to Muslim marriages, yes, it is a necessity. Actually, it is a overdue necessity, which has caused a lot of hurt to people, and it's caused also in a way that whatever they worked for as a couple in regard to their children was all lost because of legislation that was not put in place to protect them. And what has happened in some cases, that after the husband has passed away, for example, then he's like, he does not have a will because his will is not considered legal because he was not married, and the will was made out because myself and my wife and we've got our legitimate children. So yes, government has been trying, also being under pressure, that after 20 years of democracy and after promises that has been made before democracy and also promises that were made at the beginning of democracy and even up till now, that some form of legislation will take place. And in regard to this, many people and families have prepared themselves for this, hoping that the problems that was encountered in the past will just now move away and we have something that will be very easy. Unfortunately, due to sometimes red tape and bureaucracy, or maybe not even government having political will to enforce legislation, the suffering has continued, and I suppose that it will continue for another couple of years, because even at this day that we are in and with the administration that we don't really have that political will to have a move forward, to have our Muslim marriages fully recognized